Let's bring in another Nebraskan. He's one of the Republicans pushing for this change to Nebraska's election law, Congressman Mike Flood of Nebraska. Thanks so much for being here, sir. We appreciate it. So one of the holdouts, as Jeff just noted, State Senator Mike McDonald of Omaha, he wrote this statement today that included in part, quote, "After deep consideration, it is clear to me that right now, 43 days from Election Day, is not the moment to make this change." He goes on to say, Nebraska voters, not politicians of either party, should have the final say on how we pick a president. Does that mean the effort's over?
Well, it's certainly disappointing, and it would be a pretty large setback. Last week, I was in the governor's mansion when we had that meeting with Lindsey Graham and Governor Pillen and the state senators, and Mike McDonald told the Republicans he was trying to get to yes. And so there was hope that he would get there. Obviously, a setback, 3 votes short is really where we are. I felt that if McDonald had said yes, the other 2 would have come along, but that just developed today. It is where that's where we are. So we'll see where we go next.
So let me ask you a devil's advocate question, okay? Sure. So since 2020, when so many states, Democratic states and Republican states, changed election laws to make it easier to vote during the pandemic, I have been hearing Republicans saying how unfair it was to change the rules in the middle of the game since that happened until today. Is this not changing the rules in the middle of the game, and not for a public health crisis, but for political reasons?
Well, let's talk about it. So for 125 years, Nebraska was a winner-take-all state. A Democratic effort led in 1992 with a Democratic governor changed it to this apportioned plan. And the idea was in 1992 that states like California would start sharing some of their red electoral votes with the Electoral College, and states like New York would do that. But the experiment failed. So for 20 years, we have been working to put it back to winner-take-all. This seemed to present one of the best opportunities to do it because it is what a majority of Nebraskans want. And if this system is so fair in Nebraska, why doesn't California do it? Why doesn't New York do it? The reality is they're partisan. They would never change to something like this. And the majority of Nebraskans want to see Donald Trump elected. He's going to win by 20 points. Is it too much to ask to be like every other state besides Maine? I mean, you can tie this to anything you want back in 2020. The reality is, for 20 years, and I was the Speaker of the Nebraska legislature for 6, this has been a priority. If this helps us get it done, so be it.
So what people may or may not know out there is that Maine followed your lead.
Sure.
And Maine's 2nd congressional district also does it, except it's a reverse approach where Maine tends to go Democratic, but Maine's 2nd congressional district goes Republican sometimes, just like Omaha's or Nebraska's 2nd congressional district sometimes goes Democrat. And what it does, somebody who opposes you on this might say, is it brings more attention to your state. You have people coming into your state that normally wouldn't come in. Trump to Maine, Harris to Omaha. And why isn't that a good thing?
Well, if California does it, I will relinquish any interest I have in changing the law. If California wants to start sharing red votes...
But what about Maine? Maine's not good enough?
I'll take Maine. I mean, at the end of the day, Maine can decide what it wants to do one way or the other. But when 48 states do it one way and we do it this way, and, for me, and I know a lot of people may disagree, especially on this network, you would say, hey, Kamala Harris is fine. I see a big choice between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and I'm on the Donald Trump side of the equation. And I think for the next 4 years... we're going to decide where America goes, and our strength in the world depends on this.
So just what about the changing the rules in the middle of the game thing? Because I understand you've been trying to do this for years, but right now we're, 47 days until the election? I mean, it's really, really crunch time.
We are a sovereign state. What is wrong about calling a special session, introducing bills, having a hearing on each bill, going through 3 rounds of debate in our state's unicameral legislature, and having a governor sign the bill? That is the way we express ourselves democratically and politically in Nebraska. The majority of Nebraskans need to be able to say this is the way we want it. If that's the way we want it, and we're a sovereign state and we follow the rules and we have public hearings and it's open to the public, what's so wrong about that? That's our democratic system at work. 47 days, 180 days, 2 years before an election. If Nebraskans want to do it some way, that is our remedy.
So Donald Trump won Nebraska's 2nd congressional district in 2016.
Sure.
He just didn't win it in 2020. If the election were held today, are you worried he would lose it?
I certainly don't think he's leading right now. I don't have any polling right in front of me, but I would say that this is a pretty safe seat for Kamala Harris right today. We'd love to see Donald Trump in Omaha. I'd love to see all of our votes go to one candidate. But, as you see from the reporting, right now we don't have 33 votes. It takes 33 votes out of 49 to overcome a filibuster and to enact the emergency clause. What I would say is don't give up on us. We're still working on it, but certainly a big hurdle today.
We really appreciate your coming and answering our questions. And I would like to say at some point a statue of Jeff Zeleny at Statuary Hall from Nebraska, I think would be appropriate.
We'd have to kick out somebody. We just put 2 new ones in there.
Is that right?
I could probably get something for him in the state capitol.
State capitol, okay.
Or maybe the Exeter
I'll
Town
sculpt
Square.
it. I'll sculpt it myself. Congressman Mike Flood of Nebraska, really appreciate your being here today.